Welcome to The Ambitious Introvert, the leading growth and development podcast for the estimated 56% of us who recharge by going inwards. Our purpose is to help you manage your social battery and own your energy so you can reach your true potential in your business, your career, or your life. I'm your host, Emma-Louise Parks, a former air traffic controller, entrepreneur, and a success coach with over 15 years experience. I've supported hundreds of introverts like you who dream big and are ready to take action towards making those dreams a reality without compromising their energy in the process. Each week, my guests and I will be sharing tips, tricks, and hacks on how to build your resilience, master your mindset, and cultivate self-leadership. Skills that will help you reach your goals without trying to be someone that you're not. We'll also be sharing valuable lessons and insights from our own personal experiences, all focused on one thing: helping you own your energy to reach your potential. Hello, welcome back to the Ambitious Introvert podcast. I'm Emma-Louise. I'm recording this on Wednesday ahead of release. So really close to release date. And just to give you the picture, I'm sat here, it's Wednesday afternoon. It is chucking it down with rain. It is the most grey, disgusting, wet day here in the UK, you can imagine. But I'm sat here with my Lumi lamp to give me some semblance of daylight, a hot cup of tea, and my cat, Mimi. And we are cozied in to the office with the heating turned up and settling down for an afternoon of podcast recording, this one being the first. So thank you for joining me. And this is so fun because I get to have so much fun with the topics on the show now that I have broadened the appeal, let's say. So before, when I was strictly talking to online business owners, there was always an element of how is this relevant to business and bringing it back around to that. Now that I'm working with ambitious introverts in all kinds of fields, it feels really expansive and exciting because things that I maybe wouldn't have talked about before because they didn't feel that relevant now are super relevant. I'm like, this is relevant to everyone. So that's where the idea for today's episode came from, basically. And I'm going to talk a little bit about intuition. And I say a little bit because I'm going to share a story with you just to give you an example of how trusting your intuition can be super powerful. Now, I feel like off the top of my head, there's probably like 3 or 4 other episodes that I could really go deep into this topic about trusting your intuition, about how to tap into your intuition, all of these different things, what intuition is. But for now, I'm just going to take it at a basic level. And we all know that we have intuition. And sometimes we just have these feelings or thoughts, different for everyone, that don't seem to make sense. But there's something in it that has a very strong pull. And it's like, do this or go there, or these things that logically don't necessarily make sense. And that's our intuition. And we can either follow it or we can ignore it. And sometimes following it can feel really hard because it goes against, like, say, what we expect we should do or what we thought we would do. But this came up because a couple of weeks ago, I spent the weekend in London celebrating my friend Leslie's 50th birthday. Happy belated birthday, Leslie, if you're listening. And there were 4 of us, 4 friends there. And really ironically, we're all online business owners. And we are all friends independently of each other. So we all actually met completely independently of each other and then knew the same people and then got together to celebrate Leslie's birthday, which was amazing. So we were sat having brunch and it was like, how do you know each other? How do you know each other? So we were telling the stories of how we all connected. And all 3 of the ladies I was with, my story had like massive amounts of intuition in it for all of them. And I thought, this is so interesting. So I just wanted to basically share that just to give an example of times that I have leaned into my intuition or done something that seemed a bit, off the wall. And it's actually worked out really beautifully because here I am like 3 or 4 years later with these great friendships with these amazing people. So So I'll start with the main one, and that is how I met Leslie. So back in late 2019, early 2020, I was doing some freelance work in Switzerland. And at this point, I just left my full-time job. I was building up the coaching business. And so I was doing this freelance work, which was maybe a week or like 5 days, Monday to Friday, each month, there or thereabouts. Some months I was there for 2 weeks, and then sometimes I wasn't there for a couple of months, but it was about 5 days a month in Switzerland, training air traffic controllers. And so it was just outside of Zurich, and I was doing this, and I was also building my business up. And this was early 2020, and I was trying to build my Instagram up. And at the time, Instagram was like hot. So you would post something and get like 100 likes, not like the 2 that I get now. So it was really like a great platform. It was really like the place to be to build up for your business. And this is where the intuition comes in, because I was walking along in Zurich and I just had this thought drop in. Now, this to me is how I distinguish when something is my intuition versus noise or someone else's idea that I've taken on. Because I wasn't looking into this. I wasn't consuming anything. I was just there walking along, and it dropped in. And it was like, you should do a giveaway on Instagram to grow your Instagram. That was quite a popular thing at the time. Now, I hadn't seen someone else do this that day and responded to it. I hadn't like Googled, how to grow my Instagram and saw do a giveaway. It was actually quite out of character thing for me to do. I was working with a coach at the time, and I said, I want to do a giveaway. And she was like, oh, I don't know. I think it might cheapen your brand, and I don't know if you should do it. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm doing it. So the ironic thing is I posted about it in Facebook groups, and I got trolled. I remember I got like viciously trolled by someone saying that I had a terrible money mindset and I was desperate and all these kind of things because I was doing a giveaway. And the whole thing was actually quite funny looking back. However, I did this giveaway, and I decided that I would give a free session to 3 people. And it was like, follow me, and tag 3 friends or whatever on my Instagram. So this went really well for me, and I grew my Instagram by about 400 people in a week, which, was amazing at the time, and also made these great connections. So I'm about a week into the giveaway, and I'm there in Zurich, sat in my hotel room, and I get a DM on Instagram from this woman called Leslie Calvo, who I didn't know, didn't follow each other. And she said, I'm reaching out because my friend got tagged in your giveaway, and she saw your account, and she saw that you're a coach and you're British and that you work in Zurich. And I'm also a coach, and I'm British, and I live in Zurich. So I wanted to reach out and see if you fancied meeting up for a coffee, basically. And I was like, oh, how nice. And I checked out Leslie's profile. She looked really great. And I was like, oh, how lovely, like a real life connection from Instagram. So messaged back, and we made this plan that we were going to meet the following Monday for a coffee, because I had a free day in between work. And I was actually coming back to the UK for an event over the weekend, flying back in Sunday night. And then I was going to meet Leslie on the Monday for coffee. And I was like, oh, this is great. Brilliant. And this was early March 2020. So if you haven't blocked out of your memory, I'm sure you can remember what was going on at the time. In Switzerland in particular, the COVID situation was quite bad. They were sectioning off like the driver from the bus, so you couldn't get too near to everyone. We hadn't started with masks out there, but we definitely started with like hand sanitizer and like our own social distancing within the place that I worked. Here in the UK, everything was just carrying on as normal at this point. But in Switzerland, it was in one of the top 10 countries to be infected, and it was quite bad. So things were a bit, okay. So I flew home for this event on the Saturday, and I actually took everything with me from my hotel because I thought, I don't feel like I'm going to be coming back tomorrow. Even though the company I was working for, they were like, it's fine, everything's fine, don't worry, we'll get you home if we need to. I just had this feeling. And so I'm at this event on the Sunday, about an hour before I had to leave for the airport, and they phoned me up and they said, we need to get you home. And I said, I'm already home and I've got all of my stuff with me. And they were like, okay, great. So I couldn't meet Leslie. That was the downside. I didn't go back to Zurich, and I couldn't meet Leslie. Thinking it would be over in a few weeks, like we all thought about the pandemic. We were like, oh, great, we'll just do a coffee next time I'm back. And then after a few months, when we realized that wasn't happening, we we're like, oh, let's have a Zoom call. And so we stayed connected. We became great friends. Leslie has been a client of mine on numerous occasions. I have done some work with her. We speak all the time. So the funny thing here is that to me was intuition for me to do this giveaway, because it didn't make sense. It wasn't really my focus. It wasn't what I was doing, but it just dropped in. It was so clear. It was so clear that I felt like I'm going to do this. Even if people were like, I didn't think it's a good idea, I was like, I'm doing it anyway. And that is trust in your intuition. If I hadn't done that giveaway, I would not have met one of my closest friends. So that's one example of it. And the second example is, this feeling that I was like, I don't feel like I'm going to be coming back, even though there was nothing on the news. There was nothing that anyone had said that was like, oh, Switzerland will close its borders or anything like that. I just had this deep feeling, and we might call it a knowing, I guess. I was like, I'm just going to take everything with me because I don't feel good about this. And it was right. Like, I trusted my intuition on that. So the moral of this is sometimes things just don't make sense, but you never know what is going to happen from them. So, okay, that coach at the time said that I might be cheapening my brand by doing a giveaway. But actually, someone that I connected with because of that giveaway has been a paying client of mine 2, 3, 4 times maybe. Leslie was actually the person that suggested that I start a mastermind. She asked me, she said, will you start a mastermind? I would love to be in a mastermind that you did. And the first round of Quiet Power that I did was a peer mastermind with Leslie and 3 other business owners who were all at like a similar level. And that was my first time running a mastermind. And she was quite instrumental in like suggesting that to me. So again, imagine that I hadn't followed through. Imagine that I hadn't done the giveaway and she hadn't said that to me. Quiet Power is one of the most profitable programs I've ever run and one of my favorite programs I've ever run. It continues now in a different iteration. So we never know what is going to happen. You can't tell at that time from taking that action what is going to come from it. We never know. I'm always in the mindset of like, I'm constantly open to being surprised and delighted and blown away by the things that can come through these things. Now, what I will say is the 2 other friends we were with, just to give you a couple more examples, one of them actually entered my giveaway and won. So like, how serendipitous, but completely separately to being connected with Leslie. And when she entered the giveaway, when she followed me and tagged, I remember looking and I thought, she's going to win. She's going to be one of the winners. And she was. I used random software, like on the computer where you put in everyone's name and it randomly picks people. But I knew when she followed, I had this like, yeah, she's going to be one of the winners. And the other friend that we were there with, I met her at the event at that weekend. That weekend, she was sat next to me at this event where I was like, I've got my suitcase because I've just flown in from Switzerland and I don't think I'm going to be flying back with everything that's going on. And we connected there at that event. And then, like I say, these 3 ladies have all connected separately. 2 of them already knew each other. It's just like a really small world. But how beautiful that I had what you might call a ping of intuition drop in to say, do this. And like things so great have come from it, like on and on and on. So great that I had this, amazing weekend connecting with these friends. I've got these relationships and, I've got business from it and all of these things that I didn't know that at the time. I didn't think I'm going to do a giveaway and I'm going to make a friend or like I'm going to do a giveaway and I'm going to sign a client. It was just like, I feel like I need to do this. I felt very, very strongly. I'm like, I'm going to do a giveaway. And so I did. So when we're talking about intuition, it's so easy to think that it has to be like clairvoyance or clairaudience. And I don't experience intuition in any way, shape, or form like that. Obviously, some people do. But sometimes something just drops in, or we just have a very clear feeling or knowing that something is the right thing to do, even if it doesn't, quote unquote, make sense on paper. So I just wanted to share that story because there is no way at that time I could have connected all the dots forwards to see what was going to happen. But it's amazing now with the situation I'm in, being able to look back and going, wow, that one decision had a huge impact huge impact on so many areas of my life. And I'm really glad that I trusted myself with that. So that was what I would leave you with, if anything. When we have these intuitive hits or pings or downloads or feelings about things, do you trust yourself with it or do you dismiss it? What ways can you start to lean into trusting that actually you know what to do, you know the right thing to do, and we don't always need to look externally to find the answer or, go and research it or listen to more things to decide. Sometimes we just know, but how often do we lean into that knowing and trust ourselves with it? So another resource that I'm going to leave you with is an amazing writer called Penny Pierce. Penny's written numerous books. I will link a couple of them in the show notes about the subject of intuition. So if you're new to this and you're thinking, how do I lean into it a bit more? How do I learn how to recognize it? What are some things I can do? I will pop those in the show notes for you. But in the meantime, I would love to know. I'm still in the early days of finding the new way of the podcast, different topics that I can cover and ways that I can cover it that are valuable to you as the listener. So let me know, how did you find this episode? Is intuition something that you loved hearing about? Would you like to hear more about it? If so, what would you like to hear? I really want this podcast to be a collaboration. So I'm more than open to you sharing any details of anything that you would just like to hear more of, which in turn will give me more inspiration and more topics that I can share with you. So please get in touch. All the links are in the show notes. I'd love to hear how you found it, what you would like to hear more of, and of course, ways that you are tapping into and trusting your own intuition. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode. I hope that you're feeling expanded to what's possible for you, motivated to take action, and inspired about how you can start to own your energy. I share even more tools and resources on my Introverts Only email newsletter. By signing up, you not only get early access to the Ambitious Introvert products and services, but you also get brand new podcast episodes delivered straight to your inbox every Monday, meaning you'll never miss your weekly dose of introvert-friendly inspiration. Sign up now at theambitiousintrovert.com/newsletter or click the link in the show notes. See you next week.